This Thursday marks the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings, which was a huge turning point in the Second World War and helped secure all of our freedom.
On the 6th of June 1944, Allied forces landed on the beaches of northern France to take back occupied Europe from the Nazis. And all this week we're meeting some of the heroes we have to thank for that day.
Today we're joined by two women who were vital to the success of the D-Day landings. 103-year-old Christian Lamb, who created maps which were used by landing crafts, and we have 100-year-old Pat Owtram, who successfully decoded German and Japanese messages. Good morning to both of you this morning.
Good morning.
Thank you both for coming in. It's an absolute treat for Kat and I to meet you and to hear your stories.
It really is. And these ladies are 100... She's going to be 104 next month, and Pat is 100 right now.
100 years young.
Yeah.
And still full of life.
Amazing.
And we're thrilled that you can share a little bit of the history of what you both did during the war. Pat, I wonder if we can start with you, because your role in the war certainly had a lot to do with the fact that you learnt German, didn't you, in about 1938. How did you come to be a fluent German speaker?
Well, we shared my grandfather's house in the countryside in Lancashire, and he couldn't get an English cook or housemaid who would stay because it was very boring. But he found that there were Austrian refugees who were very eager to get to a safe place, and they would take a job as cook or housemaid. And so he had a cook from Vienna called Mrs. Cecilia Getzel, and I used to spend my evenings as a schoolgirl with Lily Getzel, and we talked sort of English as she learnt it, but also German, because that was what, naturally, she spoke when she came. So I learnt German a very easy way, just chatting with Lily Getzel.
Amazing.
But, in fact, that was what the Wrens wanted.
Yes.
Because, as you know, our job was listening, searching the wavelengths the German Navy used, writing down anything we heard. And so my kind of German was the right kind of German.
And you were based at Abbott's Cliff, listening in to all the different radio transmissions coming from the Germans. But that was actually an incredibly dangerous place to be too, wasn't it?
Well, it was a bit tricky because it was within shelling range.
Right.
They had these big guns that could shell Dover and Folkestone.
Yep.
I'm amazed they never had a shot at our building because it was a quite conspicuous white house on top of a cliff all by itself.
Yeah.
But they never did.
Didn't one day one of your colleagues actually come in with something quite dangerous, though?
I was just thinking of that. I remember, yes, my colleague came rushing towards our newsroom where we worked, carrying a bomb in her arms and saying, "Look what I found."
And what was your response?
And we said, "Go away, go away." But she just, no idea that wasn't a very good idea.
No. And then one day you actually had a run-in with Churchill too.
Well, I think I'd been on a night watch, because we did night watches as well as day, obviously. And I was just relaxing in a nice, quiet, warm corner with my library book. And there was a path up from the car park below by the road. And I saw a little party of people coming. I thought, I think that's the Prime Minister, Winston Churchill. And I think that's General Montgomery, and it was. And some staff officers. And I was supposed to salute if I was wearing a hat, but I wasn't wearing a hat.
Right.
So I did the only thing you could do and said, "Hello, everybody." "Good morning." And they all said, "Hello, good morning." And then they went on to the edge of the cliff and they gazed across towards Calais. And then they went away again.
That's the interesting thing about that, Christian. I think if we bring you in here, because the reason they went to gaze across Calais was the idea was they wanted to give the sense to any of the Germans that may be spying that D-Day, the Normandy landings, would have happened through Calais. That was going to happen in Calais. So they wanted to persuade them. You were there in London planning the landings and heard all the discussion about whether they were going to go through Normandy or whether they were going to go through Calais. You experienced that side of it, didn't you?
Well, the interesting thing was that having decided which one was going to be where, they then sent every possible indication that it was the wrong one, so that Hitler would get it all wrong. And in fact, they had a particular code word, fortitude it was called, which every single piece of information which told them where what we wanted them to know would be part of that.
Yeah. The planning and the way that they were trying to give out the information to the Germans to sort of decide to persuade them it was going in one direction when really it was going in a different direction.
Yeah.
And what are your recollections, Christian, of what you were doing when D-Day actually came about?
Well, I was really waking up in the morning and listening to the radio, and there it was, this absolute magic moment, go, and they all went. I mean, there was something like 15,000 men on the south coast of England, and an enormous number of boats that they were in, loaded up, and always everything depended on the weather. And of course, Mr. Stagg, who was the king of all weather people, he was a group captain, I think, in the RAF, not very grand, but they all had to take what he said, and by very, very good information, he was right. And so they went on this particular day, which had been argued about so much.
Sure.
It was a great moment.
And how did you feel knowing that it was part of the plans that you'd mapped that were a massive part of the success?
Well, I just hoped that they were useful and that they were all right. You never can be sure what you do yourself is good enough. So I was rather afraid it might not be, but I was hoping that it was.
It's extraordinary hearing you both talk. The decoding of the messages that was so vital for all the information that we needed, and the planning of the maps that was so vital for the success of the whole operation is incredible. You've both written some books.
Absolutely. We have Code Breaking Sisters here, that's Pat's book, and Beyond the Sea, A Wren at War, which is Christian's book.
I wonder, Pat, how you'll be feeling on Thursday for the anniversary. Will it bring back a lot of emotion from the day for you?
Well, it always does bring back a lot of memories. And, you know, because we were all very young, and I think perhaps your memories are particularly, I don't know, acute or... Anyway, I'm, you know, quite proud to have been a minor cog in what happened and the time.
You say minor, I think you're all incredibly major and hugely important. We owe a lot to the work and the dedication that you all put into that extraordinary occasion. Thank you both for coming in and sharing some of your story with us this morning. It's lovely to meet you.
Two incredible women,
Absolutely.
Incredible women. Thank you.
Thank you for asking us.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.